What's going on, everybody? Thanks so much for stopping by another live episode of Real Estate Titans. I'm your host, Greg Fowler, traveling throughout the marketplace, interviewing the top real estate professionals in our field, from realtors, lenders, builders, developers, residential or commercial, essentially gathering insight, inspiration, really drives and motivates these top producers above and beyond everybody else in what I'd like to consider a real estate titan. Our very special guest and featured titan for today, Angela Fugate. Angela,
Let's do this.
Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm super excited. And if everybody out there who's watching and or listening hasn't noticed yet, we are at the track.
We are.
Huge passion of Angela's, which we'll get into a little bit later. So if you hear really loud motors whizzing by, it is not a sound effect. We are actually here. So you might be able to see some of that in the background. But Angela, I'm so excited to have you. I know there's huge anticipation for everybody who's tuning in, really just to dive into you as a person, a professional, and really just get to know you a little bit more. So if you're cool, let's just jump in.
All right, you guys ready?
Here we go. That was a yes. That was a resounding yes.
All right.
So let's just start with telling everybody a little bit about yourself.
Well, I come from a small town in Pennsylvania. It's really close to Hershey, but it's not Hershey. We just claim Hershey because it's close. And in that area of the world, there just wasn't a ton of opportunity.
Okay.
So I wanted to get out of there as quickly as I could. No offense to everybody that's watching that still lives there.
That's
Sorry.
right. And the factory's cool in
the
there.
factory is cool.
Hershey chocolate, right?
But I joined the Air Force. That was the quickest way for me to get to where I wanted to be in life. And I've always known from a very young age that I wanted to be a realtor. To the point where when I was a kid, I would take Polaroid pictures of my parents' house being built by Pulte in Florida, our first house. So yeah, it's been a long road. We moved to Pennsylvania when my parents separated when I was 13. And when I entered the job market after the Air Force, I decided that I definitely wanted to get back into pursuing my passion, which was real estate. So on my 18th birthday, I got my real estate license in Pennsylvania. I started working for a company called Superior Homes, and we built custom modular homes, like huge custom modular homes. And then from there, I started working for a home builder in town, started selling for them, learned the business that way, learned a ton about construction, worked for Toll Brothers and for a company called Cornerstone Development Group. And after that, met my husband, who happened to live out here.
Awesome.
This is obviously like Pennsylvania, but much more beautiful.
Yes.
So anybody from Pennsylvania, I encourage you to come here, check it out. It's incredible. You're never going to want to leave. But this is my home now. So as soon as we got here, I was like, I got to get back into real estate. I got a job working for a company called... it's no longer a builder anymore in town. It's called Today's Homes. But we worked for Today's Homes, and then once we sold all of the homes for Today's Homes, we kind of took over the Challenger Homes account. So I worked for Challenger Homes for quite a while, selling new homes. And once I kind of reached my ceiling of excitement at Challenger, I decided to open up my own brokerage. So that's where we are. And we opened up MacKenzie-Jackson Real Estate. And Mackenzie and Jackson are actually our kids. So that's where the name comes from. That's not actually a real person. It's both of my children.
All
so.
right.
Yeah.
And I know that that's filling in a lot of people with a lot of information. Obviously, coming from the East Coast and then, coming to Colorado and Colorado Springs, tons of diversity in people that are transplanting in. So you've seen a lot of growth. You've seen a lot of change through your career.
Definitely.
I love the fact that you were really a part of the Air Force and really giving that way. You wouldn't mind sharing a little bit of that as far as, what was your desire originally to get into the Air Force?
I wanted to help people however I could.
Okay.
And so I took a job doing, it's called nuclear medicine. It's not just x-rays, it's doing adding in fluorine and doing, chemotherapy as well and, that kind of thing. So with that came some of the things I didn't anticipate when you're talking about chemotherapy, which is the emotional side of things and not being able to control the situation and the outcome. But I knew that I wanted to help people, and so eventually when I got out of the military, I wanted to give back to those folks that were serving, and the best way I could figure out how to do that was to follow my passion and help all of them buy and sell homes. So
I love that.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful, transition through your career path and what's going on now. And what was it like when you really took the plunge to open your own brokerage? I mean, what was that like for you, Angela?
It was terrifying, right?
There we go. Yeah, seriously.
It was terrifying. Yeah. I wish I would have done it sooner. But, when you work for a builder, you kind of have that stability. You always have somebody coming in the door looking to buy a home. And then opening up your own brokerage, it's not just taking care of you and your clients,
Sure.
it's helping all of your agents at your brokerage be successful and help their clients. So giving them all the tools to succeed as well. So it's a lot of responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's tons of people out there that are in that process now or thinking about it in the future, and it's a big step, and obviously you've done it and you've had great success and great reputation. So it is doable, everybody. It's not impossible.
It's not easy though.
That's right.
It's not easy. Lots of sacrifice.
There's got to be a big reason for it and everything that's going on into life and to family and balance. So this is a great segue into the next question. Really, what's your why, Angela? What motivates you? What drives you? It gets you excited every day to do what you do to the level you do it at?
I would say that, one of the coolest things about this business is every single morning when you wake up, you have the opportunity to change someone's life.
Wow.
For the better, helping somebody that's served in our military to, profit on their home, turning $40,000, $50,000 in a few years, that's massive for anyone, not just our military, but that's a huge responsibility that we have. And to be able to get to do that every morning, that's a huge thing.
Wow.
And if that doesn't drive you, I don't know what does, right?
Yeah, that's huge. It's obviously speaking volumes about who you are as a person, a professional, your character and integrity. It's about others.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And that speaks volumes, and obviously the repeat business and referrals and customers and your family as it extends. I think that's fantastic, and that's a huge why.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So I do want to go into the next portion into this, and this is a crowd pleaser when it comes down to it. Whether the newer or seasoned professionals who tune in, either listen or watch this particular series, they love to know what the Titans are doing to grow and scale their business, right? Because they're trying to learn themselves. So if you could look back at your career thus far, pick or choose one or two things that you added to your business that took it from one level to the next, what's that look like for you?
It's super easy for me. I will tell you, I meet with some serious top producers, people in the business that are much better than me. And those people help me grow my business and level up. Honestly, if you surround yourself with people that are better than you, you're going to be better yourself. You can't help but not. But that is something that I wish that I knew early on, because I tended to be comfortable and hang out with people that were kind of on the same level as me, and now I just choose to change who I surround myself with, and it totally changes everything.
And I really, really appreciate the fact that you said that, because you are guilty by association, as a lot of us professionals do know, positive or negative.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that, in my opinion, just heard that and said, gosh, that sounds great, but I'm nervous, or what if I reach out to somebody and I get rejected that way? I mean, any advice to somebody out there who's, just do it, just reach out?
Yeah. What is the worst that could happen? Really? They reject you and you go back to the same friends you have? Come on. The best thing that could happen is you learn something, and you learn something about yourself, and they help pull those things out of you. They really do. I meet with a group up in Denver of all the top producers up there. We bring the agents from Pueblo that are top producers. They're awesome. They're my best friends now. Even some of our fellow Titans, they're some of my best friends in real estate, and they keep me grounded, and they teach me so much about myself, and they're also a great sounding board. The last thing you want to do is, we have to vent to somebody.
Yeah.
It's much easier to vent to somebody, that's going through the exact same thing as you on the same level. I will tell you, I learned a huge lesson, and that is, with huge success comes huge sacrifice.
Wow.
And people tend to assume that you're given this success. And so there's a huge jealousy aspect that comes with that. And if you associate with people that have gone through this and felt this, there's not a stronger bond out there, I can tell you. So.
I love that. Huge advice for everybody out there. So hopefully you guys are writing this down or really tuning in, because this is great. Reach out. Don't be afraid. Surround yourself with great people. And you learn and you grow as time goes on. I think that that's huge. And the fact that, you had mentioned that there are always going to be naysayers or
Absolutely.
Or I don't want to say haters, but people that are throwing shade.
There are.
I think that at the end of the day, you try to help as many people as you can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you really just have to do what's best for everybody in the community, you and your family, and let the haters hate at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
I think that's just a sad reality of the truth for
I feel like we should do a shout out to them.
Right?
How you guys doing?
Hey, everybody.
I know you guys are watching,
You're
right?
watching or listening? Yeah. Oh, come on.
But
no,
totally.
This is great. So let's go into the next particular one.
Yeah.
And, when you talk about, giving different portions of advice, this is really important for everybody to kind of dive deeper into who you are as a person, as a professional. And this is the challenge question. This one's tricky for everybody to go through, but I think that we all deal with challenges in our lives. Past, present, or the future, no one's exempt. But at
Absolutely.
the end of the day, it's how you really overcome these things that matter. So if you're comfortable sharing a challenge you dealt with, for everybody to kind of really understand, what's that look like for you, Andrew?
So this may be an overshare, but that's who I am. I'm an oversharer.
Love it.
So I would say I tend to look at challenges as opportunities. I was given an opportunity when I was 13 years old. My parents got a divorce, and I moved from a very comfortable place, Orlando, Florida,
Sure.
awesome, to a place that I knew no one, small town Pennsylvania. It was totally a different atmosphere for me. I had to learn how to separate myself at the same time as becoming an adult very quickly. So I was forced to grow up. And that was huge for me. It caused a lot of stress in my life. And, trying to force myself to fit in a place where I was completely out of my element was so difficult. But looking back now, it was so huge for me as a person because it forced me to get out of my comfort zone. And so I look at that as a benefit now, I think a lot of people are afraid of things, especially in this business. You're afraid of opening a brokerage. You're afraid of failing. I'm not afraid of failure. And I think that's part of why I'm so crazy. I don't know. I'm not afraid of it.
Yeah.
I think I see failures as opportunities for you to learn. So I know that's kind of different, but I'll get to kind of why that is probably in the next couple of questions.
Yeah.
And, I think everybody's gone through some shit, right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think that when you go through that shit, it kind of makes you a totally different person. And it's not something that you can teach. It's something that you have to go through and survive. And I think that really taught me how to survive and adapt and learn how to, be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So.
And thanks for sharing. It's not easy to really air that out in front of everybody, and we'll go a little bit deeper here in a bit. But I think that at the end of the day, your advice into that is really basing it off of not fearing that failure.
Yeah.
The fear,
embrace it.
Yeah. I mean, just you and other successful people, and a lot of the Titans that have been, on this particular series, it's failure is a part of growth. It's a part of success.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to change. People are afraid of change, but that's the one constant in this life and in this world is change.
Absolutely.
So I think it's a mindset thing, and it's
Totally.
not everybody gets it.
Yeah.
But if you really can understand what Angela is saying here, it's crucially important to think this way, to have that successful mindset, to really reach those highs in life, and not just financial. We're not just talking about commissions and overall structures. We're talking about family balance and life and pleasure, things that we do for joy and giving back to the community. So it all comes down to that factor. So I love that you mentioned that. So thanks so much for going into that. It's not easy to do. But let's go into a softer question, if that's all right.
All right, let's do it.
One of my favorites. If you could travel back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice or two, what would you say to young Angela?
Honestly, I would say do this sooner. Don't wait. Don't wait until it's comfortable. It's never going to be comfortable. And comfort is terrible. Nothing good ever comes from it.
Right.
Being uncomfortable is my comfort zone now.
Sure.
And I would say, to my young self, if I was able to see into the future, surrounding myself with different people that were promoting my best interests, and helping me grow as a person, would be something that I would absolutely have implemented at a much younger age.
Okay.
I kind of got in with a bad crowd, but I was never into alcohol, drugs, anything like that. But, just not people that were excited about going somewhere in life. I was kind of like by myself in that, really independent, and then I had to figure out how to motivate myself from within. And so I think that if I would have, surrounded myself with a different type of person, that I would have already been successful 15, 20 years ago.
And I really love the fact that you had mentioned that. And that's great advice, not just for your younger self, but everybody who's tuning in, watching, or listening, myself included. I really, really find that those people can either lift you up or drag you down.
Absolutely.
And that really can make or break a dream, a desire, anything that's happening. And it's hard for us to audit our sphere and really be honest with ourselves and look at that and say, are these people good for me?
Yeah.
Or am I just playing it safe? Am I just following the crowd? So, that's a very personal thing. But I love the fact that you mentioned that, because that's real.
It's super important. Like, seriously, you guys, that is 100% the best thing that you guys can do right now is edit your sphere.
Love it. Love it. This is great. This is so good. Chock full of awesome information you can actually use. So I do want to go into the next question in the series here, which is the feeding the mind question. And this is another crowd pleaser as well, because the viewers and the listeners of this particular show, they want to know how the Titans are growing their minds. Really what books you're reading, podcasts you're listening to, influencers and social media coaches. How are you feeding your mind, Angela?
So I will be 100% honest with you. I'm not a big reader.
Here we go.
Not a big reader. Unless it's got pictures in it, I'm probably not going to read it.
Sure.
So I'm not a huge book person, but I do watch podcasts. I do follow Gary Vee almost to a fault.
Love it.
So I'm sure that if you've watched me at all, you can probably see that we're fairly similar. I don't have a whole lot of filter.
In a good way. In a good way. This is great.
I do watch a lot of the HGTV shows. I watch Chip and Joanna all the time, like everybody else.
Sure.
And I do watch, $1 Million Listing. I learn a ton from those guys.
Sure.
Ryan Serhant, Frederick Eklund, but definitely Gary Vee. I watch TED Talks, but mostly I surround myself with people that are selling a hell of a lot more homes than I am. So my best friend, Lindsay Emerson, is up in Denver, and she really teaches me a ton about real estate and about myself. And, it's surrounding yourself with people like that are going to keep propelling you forward.
I think that's huge. I mean, you touch on so many different things in there. There's so many different ways for people to learn and grow.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that you're taking it from so many different sources, but you're taking it from real people as well.
Yeah.
And again, going back to, your continuing messages, surround yourself with great people and learn and grow. Share as much as you can share, too. It's not just a take thing. You want to give. But I really, really love that instance. So just so everybody knows, as always, I'm going to put links in the comments down below so that you can follow the people that Angela's talking about and really learn and grow the same way. Angela, this has been fantastic. We've literally been hitting this hard and fast on the track, which
just
it
like
should be.
Right?
This is perfect placement. I want to wrap everything up with a final question.
Okay.
And this is the quote or mantra that sums you up as a person, a professional. What's that look like for Angela Fugate?
So I have two, I would say. The first one is, you will get all you want out of life if you help others get what they want, by Zig Ziglar.
So good.
And my second one is, I do what others won't do so I can live how others can't. And that's just kind of, how I live my life, I do all kinds of crazy stuff that most realtors wouldn't think about doing for their clients because I want this out here, This is not cheap.
Every day.
So I do a lot of things that most people wouldn't imagine doing, and I do it because I want to live in a way that most people can't even imagine. So that's
huge.
That's part of it, and I want to leave a huge legacy for my kids. I mean, their name is on my door. It's a little bit different when it's your kid's name on the door than if it's your own name. Wow. And I think that is an absolutely a big thing that drives me. The other thing that is a huge driver for me is I want you guys to know that people that are as driven as I am, it's not by accident. Typically, people that are this crazy driven have gone through some shit. And unfortunately, it's not really something that you can train people on. You can't teach somebody how to act like this and have this drive. It's something that somebody has to experience. And so anytime I see somebody that's got that drive in me, it's always, it takes me back a little bit because I know that they've seen some things that they probably never want to talk about, and they've got some pain and some scars and some experiences that, we couldn't even imagine. But it's like you almost have like a brother or sisterhood. So shout out to everybody that's got the crazy drive. I appreciate all your sacrifices too. So, but yeah, I think that, if we help each other and share as much as we can as realtors, I don't believe in hiding anything.
Well said.
I think that you should share as much as you can with everybody. There's plenty of business to go around, you guys. There's way too much. So if we can all help elevate each other and share as much info as possible, tips and tricks of the trade, insight about, what's coming up on the marketplace, just share it. There's no reason to hide it. And I think that that's something that's huge. Give value, and then ask for the sale. But you have to give value first. You have to give to people before you can even expect to receive. And I think that that's something that's really helped me in my business and my personal life. I'm a very giving person, and that's something that I learned at a very young age from my mom. She would give you the shirt off her back if that's all we had. So that's kind of how I live my life. And I hope that you guys have gotten a ton out of this. And please feel free to call me, message me, whatever, anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
I love that, Angela. I mean, that sums you up so beautifully, and I love that you just really poured your heart out to everybody. So hopefully everybody really appreciates that. It was full of amazing information. I know that there's going to be so many takeaways. You're going to get some messages and phone calls off of this, so
Yeah.
get ready for that. But Angela, you are an official Real Estate Titan,
Oh, yay!
so I'm super excited about that. But we do have something pretty special afterwards. So everybody who is wonderful and beautiful to stay tuned. We do have some live footage that's going to be happening out on the track, burning a little bit of rubber, going pretty darn fast out there. So
I'm going to see if we can get Greg to cry.
it's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot. It's only happened a few times. But I'm super excited about that. So stay tuned after this episode, and we're going to go live on the track. As always, thank you so much for your time and attention, your love and support. Live every Tuesday and Friday afternoon, a different Titan, a different location. We'll catch everybody on the next live episode of Real Estate Titans. Take care.
Bye, guys.
And we are almost